One of the most powerful things that we can do for each other is to see each other and to allow each other to be heard. And so I'm excited tonight because I know that those of you that are here, that you believe in the transformative power of the arts, that you believe that the arts can turn the schools upside down if we just allow it to happen, that through the arts that we can teach amazing things, from knowing who we are, our identity, where we've come from, and a lot of the complexities about life. So I'm very happy that we are in partnership with Alameda County Office of Education, Louise Music, Mariah Landers, Franklin Phillips, and our special speaker, Mary Stone Hanley. And tonight, Race Matters. It's brought to you by a dream of wanting to have intentional dialogue about race and about equity in the service of improving teaching and learning.
We work collaboratively as an inspired learning community to investigate new pathways that examine and critique established norms and interrupt systems of inequity, promoting social justice and invention to build a better future for everyone. So I'm so proud of that statement. That's not the full statement, but my colleagues and I were able to craft that, and it is what drives this work. To be able to interrupt inequities is something that I'm on fire about and passionate about, and I'm very lucky and honored to be here with Mary.
And in 2009, we were lucky enough to meet Mary Stone Hanley, who had done research to help us understand the work that we're doing, and she created a report called Cultural Responsiveness, Racial Identity, and Academic Success, and the Arts. And we brought Mary out, and she worked with coaches in English language arts in Oakland. She worked with schools in San Leandro, and she helped us all to see that creativity is the birthright of all of us, that our students and our communities represent huge cultural gifts that are too often untapped. And the work that Mariah is leading for with many people in this room is powerful work that is helping people to tap and name their power and put it to work, and help all children move towards their potential. At the Alameda County Office of Education, we are committed to working with all of you to transform our public education system. What we've been working on for the last decade is not just putting our music teachers and arts teachers to more powerful, intentional use in schools, but changing policy, saying this is what should happen for every kid. And we're at a point now where policy has changed. Our governor and our legislature have decentralized public education. We now have local control around how we spend equitable funding for our students. And together, we're responsible for making plans. And at the Alameda County Office of Education, we're committed to working with all of you to make sure that each and every child has the opportunities to achieve their potential.
We are people who are thinking about, moving and shaking, talking about, shaping such profound concepts and ideas and practices and conditions such as race, class, the arts. Those are huge. Those are huge. I hope you give yourself credit for it. Give yourself a round of applause. I'm serious. These are big issues, and they are very complex. Just when you say race, something else comes up. You think you're looking at somebody, I don't know about you, but in D.C., I'm from Washington, D.C. now. I've been there for 10 years now, I guess. And so in Washington, D.C., when you say black, you could mean all kinds of people. So race is a very complex term, race and ethnicity. Those are all very complex terms. And so if you think you have the answer, you're probably not even close to it. And this is what I want you to do. I just want you to shout out whatever you think the burning issues of the time are. whatever comes to your mind. I'll put the mic down because I'm just going to write. So whatever the burning issues of the day or burning issues of the future.
Mass incarceration.
Voting rights. Okay, now one thing, I have to figure out how to spell it. Conservation.
Democracy under attack.
Racial inequities throughout
Hold on,
society.
hold on, hold on, hold on. Something. The world we face is a very complex world, and our children are going into this. And the question that we have to ask ourselves is, what does education do? Will the education that we present to them today help them to deal with this tomorrow? And if we can say that it does not, then we know we have something to do. Because this world, we are probably the first time in human history really at the brink of extinction. I think probably for the first time, we brought the planet to its breathless losses. I think education is probably one of the most complicated and complex institutions in our society because everybody's a stakeholder. You know that education is about not only getting a job, it's making a job, it's controlling the job, it's about setting the context for the job. And even more important, it's about learning to think and learning to understand who has the power and who doesn't. It's about learning to transform self and society. It's a lot bigger than just whether or not to get a job. If you're reading aloud to your children, you're teaching an art form. If you're writing poetry in the classroom, you're teaching an art form. Music is mathematical. You study science, you're studying sound, you're studying music. If you start looking for the ways that art and all these other things interconnect, they're not separate. So look at how we're integrating them up here as well as integrating them in other places.
Absolutely. Art is about being human. And to answer the institutional piece, it's important to do that institutional policy struggle, but don't wait for them, okay? You don't have to work inside the institution. In fact, you'll get a lot more done if you work outside the institutions. And we have to understand it's not just a tool for learning, but it is really a revolutionary force. It's a force for subverting and transforming the system. And as long as we keep our eyes on that prize, then we can always constantly do it.
Now, one of the things I know about teaching is that it is all-consuming. You think about it all day. You fall asleep thinking about your kid, and it's like it is an exhausting, all-consuming job. So asking teachers to take on a revolution is also, I mean, it's like, oh my God, I'm going to die. It is a huge thought, and that's where I'm coming from. If you start thinking about creating a social movement, and you start thinking about how big it's got to get, and how many people we've got to do, and how many people are against us, and it's like exhausting. So there's got to be some way that teachers can continue to teach, but they have a support network that is also doing things in the community and with policy, and that teachers can plug in and work with them, so it's not all on teachers to create this change, but to recognize the small things you do in your classroom hook up to bigger things that people are doing in the community that are touching base with these policymakers. So it's not like it's just you're doing a little thing and nobody pays attention. You're doing a little thing to test something, so you have some stuff to take to the group that then says, aha, here's some research in the classroom, let's take it to this policymaker. We have this teacher and this teacher and this teacher, and they've all done this with their kids, and they've done small things. But it's adding to, it's not just you, don't think just about you. Social movements take time. That struggle with civil rights, that started at the end of the Civil War. It didn't just pop up